Today we'll cover the fight between Zenitsu and Kaigaku in the Infinity Castle arc. But before I start the video, I want to make a special announcement. Because we reached 10,000 subs, I want to thank all of you by giving back. And here's how I'm gonna do it. I'll leave an Easter egg somewhere inside the videos. You can know which video has an Easter egg in it by looking at the pinned comment. If you see an egg in it, the video has an Easter egg. It can be on the 1-minute mark or at the very end of the video. So the only way you can know what it is to watch the entire video to the end. Now, you probably want to ask, what's in it for me? Well, each week I'll give the chance to submit a form with the Easter egg you found. The people who correctly guess what the Easter eggs are for 4 weeks in a row will be entered into a random lottery and might win $200 in Amazon gift cards. And of course, as the channel grows, I'll be giving out better and better prizes with harder and harder contests. Consider me the Mr. Beast of the anime community. Alright, now back to the video. After Tanjiro was able to push the giant boulder across the town during the Hashira training arc, we see Tanjiro approaching Zenitsu, asking him if he managed to move the boulder yet, which he answers, not yet, with a serious voice. Tanjiro then says that he'll move forward in the training and that he's very worried because they didn't speak for a while. Zenitsu replies with a good luck and that there's something he must do. Tanjiro pushes a bit, but Zenitsu says to Tanjiro that he's a nice guy, but this is something he really has to do. Later, Muzan finds the Ubuyashiki family whereabouts and has a little conversation with Kagaya, but what Muzan doesn't know is that he set up a trap for him alongside Tamayo. Kagaya blows himself up alongside his 3 children to distract Muzan, while Tamayo uses a blood demon art to pin Muzan in place to make him absorb the attack. After the plan works, Tamayo makes Muzan absorb her drug, which makes demons become humans. After the Hashira hears the explosion, they all run towards it, and Tanjiro comments that he smells a strong scent of burned blood and flesh. But just before all the Hashira try to attack Muzan at the same time, he screams at them.
Did you really think you can corner me? You are all going to hell tonight.
While opening the Infinity Castle beneath everyone's feet. Just before everyone falls, Tanjiro yells at Muzan that he's the one that's going to hell. And to that, Muzan replies,
"Come and get me if you can, Kamado Tanjiro."
After he travels a bit in the Infinity Castle, Zenitsu enters a room and calls out Kaigaku, saying, "You're there, right? Come on out." Kaigaku responds by saying that that's no way to speak to his senior, and that he changed a bit but is still the same crybaby that he was. Zenitsu replies that now that Kaigaku is a demon, he no longer sees him as his superior. Zenitsu and Kaigaku face off, with Kaigaku mocking Zenitsu, saying that he's still puny and weak, scoffing at his status as a Hashira since he's only able to do one form. Zenitsu retaliates by mentioning how happy his former superior seems as the bottom upper rank, especially the fact that he's nothing more but a replacement to fill the slot of the previous upper moon. Kaigaku, stunned at his comment, asks him if he really learned how to talk back now. Zenitsu questions how he could have turned into a demon, and when Kaigaku tries to answer, Zenitsu cuts him off and continues. Why would someone poised to acquire thunder breathing become a demon? Zenitsu angrily yells that Jigoro had committed seppuku by himself upon hearing what Kaigaku had done. Someone was supposed to assist him and cut off his head, but instead he died agonized and alone, all because a user of the thunder breathing became a demon. Kaigaku scoffs at the news and asks if he's meant to be sad or repent, unapologetically refusing to care. He declares that he'd always stick to those who value him. He states that he's glad Jigoro died a painful death, angered that all his efforts to please him never led to being named his successor, and insults him further by scoffing at his idea of sharing the successorship with dirt and calling the former Hashira senile. Zenitsu furiously tells him that if he was dirt, Kaigaku was garbage, since he can only use the first breath, and Kaigaku never even managed to learn it, commenting that Jigoro only died miserably because he wasn't lucky enough to have a true successor. Kaigaku angrily tells him not to put himself on the same level, and unleashes the thunder-breathing 4th form, Distant Thunder, sending lightning at the Demon Slayer. However, Zenitsu has already avoided the attack and slashed at the demon's neck, mocking him. "You're too slow, you scum." Kaigaku is stunned that his opponent had already sliced him and comments that he seems like a completely different person. Kaigaku remembers his unfortunate encounter with Upper Rank 1 Kokushibo. He comments that it isn't shameful to kneel before an overwhelmingly powerful foe, recalling when he quickly surrendered to the demon. He believes that as long as he's alive, he can do something, even if he has to scrape his head on the ground, drink dirty water, or steal to survive. Kokushibo offers Kaigaku a portion of Muzan's blood and says that if he wants to become more powerful, he has to accept it. And if Muzan accepts him, he can take a place among the upper ranks. Kokushibo advises that it takes time to become a powerful demon, as powerful as a strong swordsman, and then gives Kaigaku a large amount of blood since he's also a breath user. He tells Kaigaku to be thankful for the blood he's given, but threatens to behead him should he spill a drop. At the time, his whole body was terrified before his transformation. And now facing Zenitsu, Kaigaku's fear is non-existent. He is assured that no matter how powerful he is, Zenitsu could never beat an upper rank. Declaring that everyone has to die eventually and saying that Jigoro and Zenitsu are no exception, Kaigaku uses thunder-breathing second form, Rice Spirit, to try to kill him. Zenitsu takes notice of his 5 simultaneous attacks and deduces that he must have eaten numerous people already. Asking if the demon knows right from wrong, Kaigaku responds that those who accept him are right and those who don't are wrong, as he uses the thunder-breathing third form, Thunder Swarm. He then uses thunder-breathing fifth form, Heat Lightning, hitting Zenitsu and burning him. As he asks his former swordsman friend how he likes his newfound demon-enhanced forms, Kaigaku follows with thunder-breathing sixth form, Rumble and Flash, hitting him with numerous slashes. As Zenitsu falls after being hit, he remembers back to his days training alongside Kaigaku. Ironically, while Zenitsu only manages to do the first form, Kaigaku was able to do all but the first of the thunder breathing. Zenitsu knew then that Kaigaku was never going to be a Hashira. One day, Zenitsu had hit a senior demon slayer, and Kaigaku reprimanded him, then mocked him for doing so. He knew Kaigaku virulently hated him, and Zenitsu himself also hated Kaigaku greatly. But despite this, he genuinely respected Kaigaku for his work ethic and drive, and despite his place as special within Jigoro's students, it never satisfied him. Finally, he considers Kaigaku's feelings like a box of happiness in his heart. His happiness always leaks through, and he must close the box to feel satisfied. Apologizing to Jigoro and Kaigaku, he lands on the wall and stops his fall. As a confused Kaigaku looks on, Zenitsu uses the thunder-breathing seventh form, Honoi Kazuchi no Kami, and speeds upward, decapitating Kaigaku. As the upper rank demon becomes enraged that he never saw it coming, he curses his former master for teaching Zenitsu something he never knew and playing favorites. Zenitsu replies that Jigoro was never such a person. He created this form for the day he'd fight alongside him. After Zenitsu beheads Kaigaku by performing the thunder-breathing seventh form, Honoi Kazuchi no Kami, both fall into the Infinity Castle towards their deaths. Zenitsu plummets unconsciously as the disintegrating Kaigaku grows furious at his defeat at Zenitsu's hands. But he comforts himself with the idea that Zenitsu would die with him when they hit the floor, until Yushiro comes to save Zenitsu, while coldly reminding Kaigaku that without friends, he'd end up with nothing, since he gave nothing to anyone, finally commenting that dying alone sure is pathetic. Hearing this, Kaigaku only screams in frustration as Zenitsu is saved, and he meets a lonely, pathetic death. Zenitsu seemingly wakes up in a land full of red spider lilies and sees his master Jigoro Kawajima across a river that separates the two. Zenitsu breaks down in front of him, crying in remorse and regret for not being able to save Kaigaku and being unable to become a Hashira prior to his death. As Zenitsu struggles with being caught with the lilies, he realizes that Jigoro hasn't said anything to him. Then, Jigoro breaks his silence by calling out Zenitsu's name, and with tearful eyes, proclaims that Zenitsu is his pride and joy. In reality, Zenitsu is being patched up by Yushiro while being guarded by Murata and another demon slayer. Murata realizes that he remembers Zenitsu and calls out hoping for his survival, leading Yushiro to tell him to shut up. As Murata angrily comments back that he can't be treated like this as a demon slayer of rank, Yushiro responds back as a demon, but he ignores them. As he patches Zenitsu's eyes, Murata shouts at the demon that the blood from Zenitsu's wounds continue to bleed. Yushiro tells Zenitsu that he's lucky that Kaigaku was inexperienced with his demon power. Had he fought him a year later, he would have ended up dead. Murata yells not to be so negative, accidentally attracting demons to their location, much to Yushiro's chagrin. Yushiro was brought along by Tamayo to help assist the demon slayers, much to his frustration. Despite the fact he wore the Demon Slayer uniform to enter as no one recognized them, the other members knew something was off, the fact that he was a demon created by Tamayo. Yushiro grows frustrated at Murata's inability to behead the attacking demon and places Zenitsu in safety to assist. And that's all for this video. Stay tuned for our next Infinity Castle arc fight recap.